I'm your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a video and I'm going to be doing some boot polishing here. I've actually already started doing some boot polishing, and I'm going to go over a couple things of kind of why to do this, and I'm not sure why it seems like no one's really done this online, and you know, everybody wants to go out there, do super sexy, high-speed, super tactical stuff at the ranges and things of that nature and show the training. But here's the thing about it. A part of doing that super high-speed tactical stuff is also maintaining your equipment. Because if you don't maintain your equipment's going to fail. So I'm going to show you how to do some maintenance to your equipment here. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of explain a little bit why you got to do maintenance to your equipment, especially on the boots. Let's dive into why here first. And the thing to understand is I'm going to be doing a little bit of contradicting here when it comes to how the boots are done. So the first thing is the boots are made in a really high quality method, but there's a lot of corner cutting made in certain areas that makes the boots cheap, especially when it comes to the finishing of said boots. So to put in perspective, this is just a Vietnam style jungle boot. This boot is made the exact same way the jungle boots were made back in the mid 1960s, or actually it might be like 1967. I think this particular model of jungle boot was made, and actually when this model of jungle boot was introduced, they changed nothing ever since then. Now there's some that's made with spike protection, there's some that's made without spike protection. This particular model doesn't have spike protection. I bought this particular model on purpose with that because I don't plan on stepping on punji sticks anytime soon, so I don't need spike protection. And it also makes the boot actually a cheaper boot by not having spike protection. There's a couple areas where they did kind of skimp out on when it comes to like some of the stitching. Some of the higher quality ones has a little bit more reinforced stitching in this area here and here, but essentially this is a $40 boot. Okay, now that being said, this is a $40 boot, and the stitching quality of this boot is equivalent to what you would find on boots that range $150, $200 on the civilian market. Yeah, I bet some of you are blown away by that statement, because those are quite expensive boots. We're talking Red Wayne level boots, and everybody knows Red Wayne work boots, right? They're pretty durable boots. They're good boots. That being said, when it comes to like the padding of the boots, the insole, the way the inside is made, the inside is very rough leather. It doesn't have a very good finish. It's not perfect. It's not very good at all, actually, which is one reason why boots like this are made to be worn with wool socks. The next thing is when it comes to the one thing is these boots are made to be worn in adverse conditions. So they're not made with the highest quality of dyes or coatings either. Actually, I don't remember what brand of boots it was that the military had gotten, but the boots were so bad that every time the boots got wet, God forbid you were wearing white socks, because your socks would be black. The dye would actually come off the boot and it would soak into your socks. And even if you wore black socks, your feet would come out kind of like a navy blue color because the dye would soak through the sock into your foot. So that just shows you different areas that the military cuts corners. And one of the areas that the military cuts corners for the boots and for their specifications is the overall finish quality of the protectant of the leather. Now, how the military has overcome that over the years is boot polish. So the thing to understand with the military boots and how they've cheaped out on it, and the fact that these boots are made for adverse conditions, is leather doesn't like getting wet. And weather constantly getting wet and then drying and then getting wet and then drying and getting wet and then drying is bad for leather. The other thing that is, leather is not actually very waterproof. It's water resistant to a point, but after so long of being wet, water will soak through leather. So one way the military has overcome that is by making soldiers polish their boots constantly. Now, this is when I was in the service. Understand, I was in the service back in the early 2000s. Now, this was not the type of boot I was issued. I was actually issued an all leather combat boot. This is, like I said, this is a Vietnam era jungle boot. And this is my, if shit hits the fan, this is the boot I'm going to turn to. When I go hunting, this is the boot I wear. When I go to the range, this is the boot I wear. Basically, pretty much anything that relates to me going out in the field, this is the boot I wear. It's a good boot. But that being said, this is also a piece of equipment that needs maintenance, and it needs regular maintenance. Otherwise, I'm not going to have this piece of equipment, and this piece of equipment will fail me in the field. So how do I prevent that from happening? Well, boot polish. So one of the best things that you can do when you have boots of this style, like I said, the all leather combat boot, like if you go to like an Army surplus store, you'll see Bates has them. Of course, the Vietnam era jungle boots, you're going to need to polish those as well. You can just go online and you can literally buy a Kiwi kit. It'll come in a bag like this. It'll come with 2 cans of Kiwi polish, like so. I know this one's still in the pack. I actually have the other one open. It'll come with 2 application brushes, but I bought another pack of foam brushes because the kit came with like a hair brush. Think of like a paintbrush. I find the foam brushes are much better for the polishing process. It came with a rag, which you can literally just get a rag out of a t-shirt, but you need a cotton rag. I recommend a cotton rag, 100%. And it also came with a horsehair brush. And that's pretty much everything you need for polishing your boots, at least as a minimum. Now, there's some additional stuff you can use for polishing your boots, such as lighter, water, things of that nature. I'll get into it while I'm here polishing the boot. I'll show you the method and the process here. Which, besides the water, I'll take a drink of water. Okay, I'm going to finish up this boot really quick. I had started this boot. And I'll take a dab of Kiwi here. And I'll just pretty much rub some polish on it. And I'll give you a good overview of actually polishing. I was literally just finishing this up. And in all honesty, I realized that when I hit record on my camera, I screwed up and didn't hit record. So this whole time I was polishing this boot, talking, realizing that I was not recording and I was not making said video at all. So actually this boot is just about done with the first step of polishing a boot without any content being made on how to polish a boot. And like I said, you know, the thing is with this, I know this isn't super sexy type stuff here, but the reason I'm talking about this is because I don't see really anyone covering this. I really question how many people really know how to do this, especially nowadays, even in the modern military, because the modern military doesn't use a boot that needs polished or that can be polished. And here's the thing, if you got equipment that needs maintenance and you don't know how to maintain it, your equipment will fail. Guaranteed. It's the same as oiling a rifle, okay? So when you open up a can of Kiwi, and one thing is too, is when you're out buying polish, I've tried a couple different polishes, brands of polish over the years. Like I said, understand I was in the service, so I've polished up my boots a lot. And I've encountered, obviously, a lot of people that had to polish their boots. It was a standard. Everybody had to fucking polish boots when I was in the service. It was an almost daily occurrence that people were polishing boots when I was in the service. Pretty much everybody used Kiwi because Kiwi worked. Some of the other brands of polish out there kind of worked, but basically the best stuff was Kiwi. Kiwi's still fairly cheap and affordable. You know, it's not the most expensive polish out there, but it's the best working polish. And it's one of the better performing polishes too. So, okay, so here's the thing about polishing boots. Let's cover a couple things here real quick. When it comes to polishing brand new boots, I recommend when you open your can of Kiwi, if you have brand new boots, is melting your wax. And basically all you got to do is take a lighter or a match, light your wax on fire. Literally, you're lighting your wax on fire, and then you're dropping your tin lid back on top of your wax and putting the fire out, and then you're applying your wax. I only recommend that on brand new boots. You really don't have to do that once your boots are broke in. These boots have been broke in, okay? Now this is the first coat of polish I'm putting on these boots. I've actually been breaking these in kind of slow, where I've only been wearing them like in a couple hours here, a couple hours there, breaking them in over time. But I really don't need to, I don't, because they're broken, I don't really need to melt the wax. I could, but it won't do any good over a good genuine spit polish. It won't be any more beneficial. So now all I got to do is just, you know, grab a hold of the can, grab a hold of my applicator brush, rub it around, get a little wax on my finger. It's going to happen. Hand in the boot. And I'll just start with the toe. And then just small circular patterns across the boot, across the leather. And I want to give it moderate pressure. I don't have to press super hard, but I want to give a decent amount of pressure. And what you could do is you could take a dish of water, and you, like when you apply your wax, you could take and dip your applicator brush in the water and then start rubbing it across your boot. To be honest, you know what I find? Spit on your boot. So keep a cup of water handy, or a canteen, or a bottle. I find spitting on the boot works great, and just rub it in real good. Need a little bit more wax here. Good old-fashioned spit. There's a reason why they call it a spit shine. I mean, when I was in the service, not everybody would do a spit shine, but I always did. You never know. You may need to polish your boots, and water's a commodity. Drink your water. If you fill a dish full of water and you dip your shoe shine brush into it, you can't drink the water afterwards. But you can always drink your water and spit on your boot. And just go across all the leather as best you can. Real nice like. And if you get a little bit on the canvas, that's no big deal. We don't make mistakes, only happy little accidents around here. See what I did there? Now, one thing I want to do with the Jungle boots, I got 2 vents on the side here. I want to avoid getting any polish on those vents. Because those vents, what they do is if I step in any water, those vents will let the water in, of course, but those vents will also let the water back out. And those vents will also let any air in and let my foot dry while I'm wearing the boot. Great thing about Jungle boots. That's actually kind of why I bought them. Although, admittedly speaking, I did kind of make a mistake by buying Jungle boots. I kind of feel like I still need to buy, I kind of want to buy like a good all-purpose boot. That would be great for the weather around here. And what I've learned is the Jungle boot was a bad idea for that, because it's not a good all-purpose boot around where I live. And it'll work great in the summertime. It'll work great in the spring. But it's going to be a really bad boot for the fall and the winter. Although I didn't really plan on using these boots in the winter anyway, but alright, let's just polish these up a bit more. And then I want to get wax. I want to try to get wax up on here around the laces and of course around the edges, because that's actually one area where the dye never really holds, I noticed, on boot edges. Now the baits, I noticed with like the baits, they hold a bit better. So like some brands, it's real good. Boots are real good for that, but not all. And understand, folks, too, while I'm sitting here talking about polishing boots, not all the different types of boots out there need polished. You know, the current standard issue military boots, they don't need polished. And that's because they're a rough cut leather. They're meant actually more for desert and arid climates. They're not meant for, you know, spraying, you know, rainy spraying type climates that you find in Pennsylvania. Although I do question how well those boots will hold up in a wet environment, just because the problem is with leather, like I said earlier, leather doesn't like getting wet and drying repeatedly, and after so long it will do things such as crack, and it will break, and it will shrink, and it will rip, and it will get mold and mildew, and that's not good for the leather either. Alright, I'm almost done with this boot here, so as soon as I'm done with this boot, I will show you the next step. And if I get, like I said, if I get wax on the laces and stuff of that nature, who cares? Same way with the rubber. Wax won't hurt the rubber. Actually, if the rubber gets dirty, you know, if you see like a really bad dirty spot or something, or if there's a lot of dirt, like right here I got some dirt. I don't know how well it'll show up in camera. I'll just he'll hide it pretty good. And now what I'm aiming for is I'm aiming for a standard military polish. So what I want is I want a decent shine on the sides and, you know, the leather itself, but I want to be able to essentially see my reflection on the toe, and I want a really decent shine back here on the heel. And that's just because That's pretty much what I was trained to do in the military. So that step is done. So essentially now I can put that off to the side and close my kiwi back up because I've already done the other boot. And now we need the horsehair brush. And now essentially with the horsehair brush here, you're just going to take and you're going to go across the leather. And you're going to see it start to shine almost instantly. Let's do the toe here. See how the toe is? Now the toe, you're going to have to work a little bit more. Now look at that. That's pretty nice. That's not bad. That doesn't have drill instructor approval, but that's not bad. Not bad for a first polish in a long time. And that's essentially all you're doing. You're giving it a nice quick little polish with the horsehair brush. You're knocking off any loose wax, any heavy areas. Stuff like that. And then also the horsehair brush will get in certain areas that is a little hard to get to. Yeah, I might have to give that toe another layer of wax to get it real shiny. Alright, let's get this other boot. By the way, folks, got a lot of things going on here at Grumpy Viking Tactical. Got some videos coming up that's going to feature the T-Sauce Raider. Got some more videos that's going to be featuring some drills. Also, my wife's Kimber came back today from Kimber. Ended up having to send that back to Kimber again. Yeah. Ended up sending that back to Kimber again, and it came back today. And of course, she once again wants me to take it out to the range and wants me to deal with it. And of course, it's her gun, and it's kind of like one of those things of, well, woman, it's your gun. You complain I don't shoot all my guns. Why can't you go out and shoot your own gun? You know what I mean, folks? But it's okay. I will go out and I will shoot her gun, and I will make sure that her gun works. Hopefully it will this time, and we'll see what happens now that her Kimber is back for redemption. We'll see what happens. So definitely subscribe to the channel, see how that stuff goes. Also, just ordered a bipod for my Winchester Model 70. So we will also see how that goes. It's been a very long time since I've used a bipod on a rifle, let alone I've never used one on that particular rifle. Actually, I've been debating if I want to camo paint that rifle. I've been very torn about that because my father bought that rifle a very long time ago. God, when did he get that thing? Back in, I want to say 96, he got that Winchester Model 70 Sporter. And he loved that rifle, and I like that rifle too. I mean, it's my rifle now. God bless him, he passed away years ago. So now I take care of that rifle. But I've been kind of thinking about camo painting it because that's what I want to do with it. But at the same time, I've been thinking about keeping it as is in his memory. But I'm still going to put a bipod on it because I acknowledge the advantages of a bipod. Well, that's all with the loose wax. I really don't think it's ready to be buffed, but we're going to buff it. Now, normally what I would do in this scenario is just put the boot on, put my foot up against a step stair, like, you know, right here on a step, and then go to town. But to try and show you guys this the best I can, you take your rag here, hold it like so, put it across the toe, and just a good hearty, fast and hard, back and forth motion across the boot. You know what? I got another rag that would actually do this job better. And this is your finished polish. Now the only thing you need to do this to, you only need to do this to get that real good high quality shine to it. As you can see, it's already got a bit more of a shine. And I'll do that a little bit to the back of the heel and the toe, and that's it. And boy, oh boy, it's getting warm in here. Anyway, folks, I'm going to wrap my tutorial at polishing your boots at that. I think you all get the gist. If you have any questions, though, trust me, I've done a lot of polishing of boots. So go ahead, ask any questions. I am a knowledge base on that because actually I had 2 pair of boots I had to polish when I was in the service because I had a pair of standard issue combat boots, and then I also had a pair of tanker boots. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and yes, hopefully I'll see you all again for my next video. Have yourself a wonderful day.